Flash is one of the world's most well-known superheroes, and one that captured the hearts of millions. Being first introduced in Flash Comics #1 in 1940, the Flash has been around for generations. But with all that fame comes quite a few variations, and not all of those can be as epic as the original. But which ones are the most memorable for various reasons? That's what we're exploring today. Let's do it. And at 10, Blitzkrieg. Earth X Flash, or Blitzkrieg, was born and raised in a world where Germany won World War II. And since this is a sensitive subject for YouTube, I'm going to avoid using specific terms, so sorry in advance, but you know what I'm talking about. While his real name is unknown though, Der Blitz, as he's known in German, is a member of Gerichtsliga, which is basically just an evil regime version of the Justice League, also referred to as the JL Axis. The current members are Brunhild, the Earth X Wonder Woman, Leatherwing, Earth X Batman, Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Flash, Green Lantern, and Overman, which is the Superman of Earth X. But this version of the Flash also appears in the Freedom Fighters The Ray animated series that takes place in the Arrowverse, but was interestingly missing from the Crisis on Earth X crossover event that featured characters from that show. Instead, this Flash was just Eobard Thawne of Earth 1 wearing Harrison Wells' face, who went and joined the regime, which is a whole other can of worms. But it leads people to believe that he killed the Earth X Flash in order to prove himself. And at 9, Kingdom Come Flash. Wally West from Earth 22 is weird to me, okay, since it feels kind of backwards. In the Kingdom Come universe of Earth 22, Wally West received his speed through unknown means, but nonetheless he still became the Flash. When Superman retired, Wally kept going, but he kept going and kept going and never stopped, running from scene to scene, disaster to disaster, never taking a break. For this, however, he had a daughter who got her speed genetically and became Kid Flash, but this is where it really gets weird. His children were named Iris West and Barry West. It kind of sets me on edge because they're supposed to be older than him, but Wally is supposed to inherit the Flash mantle. Not to mention that this time Barry and Iris are actually biological siblings, which only makes all the memes about the Arrowverse even worse. But considering how Wanda and Pietro in the Ultimate Universe is a thing, this kind of thing isn't anything new for the comics. Gotta love those Game of Thrones stories, right? Okay, well in this universe his kids don't end up dating, but you know what I mean. In at 8, Kapitalist Kouriers. First appearing in Flash Volume 2 #6 in 1987, the group originally known as the Red Trinity was created by Russian scientist Pyotr Orlov when he and his partner attempted to recreate Flash's super speed abilities after watching a daring rescue. The second group of test subjects were successful and were renamed the Red Trinity. The group included Anatoly, Bebek, and Kasofia, and they became agents for the Soviet military. But here's where things get weird. When the third Flash came to enlist the help of Dr. Orlov in the issue of saving Jerry McGee's life, the Red Trinity chose to follow Orlov to America. While there, they became infatuated with American culture and decided to stay there, opening a business as a team of super speed messengers called Kapitalist Kouriers Services Inc. Kasofia has since died. He was running up the side of a building to make a delivery when his speed vanished for some reason and he fell to his death. That was thanks to Savitar's reappearance, but these Russian speedsters literally made Amazon Super Prime. Okay, that's great. That's so good. That's hilarious. That's what I would do with my powers if I got super speed. And at 7, Lia Nelson. Lia Nelson from Earth 9 is a very different version of the Flash, to say the least, but on her Earth, Lia is the second most recognized person on the planet. She was an instant celebrity since her parents were the first people to visit Jupiter, and her mother was a bit of a hero and her father was a Nightwing agent, even if he wasn't very good at his job. Lia is a being of light, and once able to control her power, she took on the moniker of the Flash. Since she is a being of light, she's able to travel at the speed of light, making her a speedster without a connection to the Speed Force, which I admit may frustrate some of you with her being on this list, but I don't know, I thought it was interesting, okay, and certainly an interesting version of the Flash. Lia also had a whole host of powers, including superhuman speed, metamorphosis, where she uses light to create solid holograms to alter her appearance, energy construct creation, allowing her to make solid objects out of light like a Green Lantern, energy projection, which is just beams of energy, and energy absorption. And at 6, Savitar. The Savitar from the comics is certainly another interesting character. First appearing in Flash Volume 2 #108 in 1995, the man whose name is still unknown who became Savitar was a Cold War test pilot. As he reached top speed in a test flight for a supersonic fighter plane, the plane was struck by lightning and went down down in hostile territory. Once he learned about his speed though, he became obsessed with it and craved more, like any good villain does. He named himself after the Hindu god of motion and spent years studying, learning new powers that no other speedsters had mastered. He can protect himself in what is in essence a speed force shield field, can give speed to objects and other people, and heal injuries instantaneously instead of just way faster. As Savitar's obsession grew, so did his followers, and he became the leader of basically his own self-worshipping cult, and he desired even more after that. So he went after the only speedster around at the time, Johnny Quick. The fight ended up causing Max Mercury to show up and led him into the speed field where Savitar bounced off, but he did at some point return and instead wanted to eliminate his competition, including the Flash, Impulse, and especially Max, but he ended up dying in Flash Volume 2 number 111 from 1996. Halfway through into number 5, Hot Pursuit. What is the Flash known for? Exactly, running really fast. That's his whole thing. Running so fast that he can beat instantaneous teleportation that he has in the comics. So, what's the deal with Hot Pursuit? First introduced in the Flash Volume 3 number 6. Hot Pursuit is a version of Barry Allen from another universe who came to warn his counterpart about an impending disaster, which ends up being Flashpoint. But the difference here is that this Flash doesn't run. Instead, he has a Speed Force powered motorcycle called the Cosmic Motorcycle. Yeah, his cowl is also a motorcycle helmet, so at least he's being safe about it. And his suit is black and white instead of, you know, red. Unfortunately, Hot Pursuit dies 6 issues after he was introduced in Flash Volume 3 number 12 as a part of the Road to Flashpoint event, but the moniker Hot Pursuit would later be adopted by Patty Spivot as she stole his gear from the Central City Police Department. In it 4, No Rules to Follow. In an Elseworlds story where metahumans are hated, basically just mutants in the Marvel Universe, 10 individuals with powers band together to try to get the world to trust them by doing good deeds. These people, who on another Earth would be known as the Flash, Shark, Fire, Dr. Light, Polaris, Power Girl, Poison Ivy, Tasmanian Devil, Changeling, and Metamorpho, unfortunately don't accomplish their goal, since their attempts to contain a nuclear meltdown just make everything worse. After this disaster, metahumans go into hiding, and a few metas, Flash included, began raiding military bases that had previously attacked them. But after a battle with the Control Squad, which was a group of high-tech operatives that the Wayne Foundation had created to fight metahumans, caused an even further split, resulting in Ivy, Changeling, and Metamorpho all hating the military even more. But when Superman showed himself, everyone eventually kind of accepted it. Then Batman, or I guess Wayne, ended up creating the version of the Justice League that was just known as the Justice League. But again, this is a very interesting Flash. It's basically the Flash cosplaying Juggernaut or Juggernaut cosplaying Flash, whichever one you want to pick. In at 3, Speed Demon. Remember how I love to mention the Amalgam universe that combines the DC and Marvel characters, and then I also mentioned Iron Lantern and no one believed that it was a thing? Yeah, it was. It's a combination of Hal Jordan and Tony Stark. But today, I'm presenting to you Speed Demon, a combination of Barry Allen and Johnny Blaze, aka Blaze Allen. He was a circus daredevil who sold his soul to become the first Speed Demon. The demon component of this character, Etrigan, was also formerly Jay Garrick before the Night Spectre stole Jay's soul. The Night Spectre approached Blaze and asked him to serve him in his attempts to collect souls of the most pure and most corrupt. Blaze Allen refused to do so, so to persuade him, at his wedding night, Night Spectre stole Iris's soul. Blaze then accepted the bond, hoping to get Iris back, or at least to ensure her safety. Speed Demon also speaks only in rhymes, but they're a speedster with a flaming skull head that can also breathe hellfire, okay? It's pretty freaking dope. Wally West, also, who is an amalgam of Wally West and Danny Ketch, was the next Speed Demon after that who accepted the power in order to help his uncle get Iris's soul back. But ultimately, in at number 2, Whizzer. This version of the Flash actually comes from the Marvel Universe, believe it or not. And while yes, speedsters are like a superhero archetype, this one is like a deliberate reference to the Flash from an unofficial Justice League versus Avengers crossover fight in the Marvel Universe. The Wizard is a member of Squadron Supreme, which comes from a parallel dimension of the Marvel multiverse. Stanley Stewart is his name, and while running late one night, he ran through a strange fog. Over the next few weeks, he gained the ability to run faster than anyone else, which I didn't know Fog had the ability to do, but hey, it's comics. The original goal of Squadron, which Whizzer was a founding member of, was to create a utopia, which they would have accomplished. They turned much of the world into a paradise within the first year, but stopped when a former member, known as Nighthawk, convinced them that it was in essence a dictatorship. Shortly after the project ended, multiple members of the team got stranded in the main Marvel universe, but did end up making making it home. And finally, in at number 1, the Crash. This is like my favorite alternate version of the Flash. Coming from Earth C-, the Crash is the fastest animal alive, and a member of the JLA, or the Just a Lotta Animals group, which is this world's Justice League. On Earth C-, everyone is some form of animal, and it's probably the most ridiculous thing that you could ever read. While his name is unknown, the Crash is this universe's Flash, and not only that, he's a turtle, okay? In a classic tortoise in the hare scenario, slow and steady wins the race to get super speed and a connection to the Speed Force, I guess. And I'm not even kidding. He fights against characters with names like Weather Weasel instead of Weather Wizard, and that's hilarious. I love it so much. He was first introduced in Captain Carrot and his amazing Zoo Crew number 14, which is even better, which features superheroes like Wonder Rabbit, Aquaduck, and Batmouse. Not a Batman bat, which is kind of confusing. Oh, and the Green Lambkin instead of the Green Lantern. But again, there's also Green Sparrow. I love a ridiculous meme pun series that actually is kind of good, and they all have me cackling. If you want to see more weird things and other versions of other heroes, be sure to click the video that's popping up on the screen now. It's gonna pop up right here, okay? Click it. Go.